Something a little different today. I want to talk about this machine here. This is my daily driver, and as you saw by the title, I want to talk about why I still use a dual core Ivy Bridge machine as my day-to-day machine, though it is getting a bit long in the tooth now and it does need an upgrade. So that's what I'll be doing hopefully in the next few months, but I just wanted to share that this is what I've been using for a long time now, and I'm still using it in 2021 every day for pretty much everything other than heavy gaming. Of course, work and video editing is done on a separate machine, but that's elsewhere, and this is my personal home machine that I use for day-to-day stuff. The case is from Silverstone. It's quite a substantial little thing. It's only about 7.5 litres if I remember rightly. It is the SST-ML06B-E, also known as Milo Slim series. Worth noting, this is the ML06B. There are slightly different configurations of this, all look very similar, but you've got to watch out for some of them only have room for a single slot card on the back, so watch out for those. This one in particular is using an Ivy Bridge board, an ASRock Z77 ITX board to be exact. As you can see from the inside, it's a rather simple affair. We have a GT1030 over here from Zotac. Of course, Noctua standard fan at this point. It is actually the 65mm version. It's quite a substantial hunk of metal, but it works quite well. 16 gig of DDR3 in there. Of course, Wi-Fi from the Wi-Fi card there. You can't see here, but there's a SATA drive underneath the board, and in here there are two SATA SSD drives as well. And the power supply is by Corsair. It is the SF450. Of course, it's an SFX power supply, very small. And the highlighting part of it is that fan, and the way I've got this set up, never ever spins, because it never goes over, I believe the limit unless it's 90 watts roundabout, and with a 35 watt TDP CPU and I believe it's 40 watt graphics card and the SSDs, we don't ever go over that even at full load. And also because of the way this board works, this fan only spins under high load, so under normal usage, browsing the web, watching a few videos, this machine is completely silent, which is the main reason why I still use it. But I'm looking to replace all these parts soon. Maybe put in a new case, maybe use a GTX 1650 passive card instead of the GT1030, and upgrade to maybe a Skylake machine using maybe the i5 6400T, but time will tell. Let's go plug this into the capture machine and I'll show you what games I kind of play on this machine and what it's capable of, and show you the limitations as well. So I'm not saying this is the best machine ever made, but it's the one that I use daily and I am very happy with it. Kind of got a nickname of the potato machine, or the potato PC, but you know, it's my favourite machine, so let's go see what it can do. Let's start off with CPU Z then, shall we? As you can see, the fan is running at 0 RPM and the temperature is about 54 degrees. In single thread we get 302.7 and in multi-thread we get 812, so it's rather slow. Comparing that to a Kaby Lake i5, you can kind of see the difference, so it's much slower there. But as you can see, it runs quite cool, 58 degrees afterwards and still 0 RPM. Moving on to some games I play on here. Here is Tomb Raider. I originally played it on this machine, ran it on medium, and as you can see, you can get an average of 60 FPS roundabout. This is with VSync on, so a 60 FPS cap. So the average isn't quite locked at 60. As you can see here, it dips down a bit, but overall the experience is pretty good. Another game that I play on here is Divinity Original Sin. This is the enhanced edition, so it's a bit more heavy. As you can see, we're getting 60 FPS pretty much. We're just below. But once again, it's because of that VSync, and it drops down here a bit when there's combat going on. So we're hitting the high 40s, low 50s. But overall, more than playable. Now another game that I played way too much on this machine. This is Dead by Daylight. I'm running it at 1080p on medium with a 75% intended resolution. No issues with the frame rate really. It's not 60 FPS of course, but I've had no issues with skill checks or anything like that, so I personally don't think you need a solid 60 FPS in this game. People will disagree of course, but at the end of the day, I played it on this machine pretty much the entire time that I've played this game, and I've enjoyed it, so that's all that really matters then, doesn't it? Looking at The Witcher, this is the original Witcher. As you can see, we're getting 60 FPS no problem. It can only use one single core, so I had to watch out which core it picked, because if it was one of the hyper-threaded ones it causes issues, but overall this game is more than playable on this machine. As you can see, the CPU appears to be the bottleneck here, the GPU is not at 100%. And with The Witcher 2, obviously a much more modern game compared to that. This is running on everything on, not the highest settings, but very high. And as you can see, we're struggling to get 60 FPS, we're getting an average about 40. I'm currently playing it on these settings, so I'm more than happy with it. Occasionally it dips a little lower, but it's more than playable. So I enjoy it, even though I'm not getting a solid 60 FPS. Though you knock some settings down and it should be fine. Here the bottleneck is the GPU. Swapping it for something a bit faster like a GTX 1050, it makes a massive difference. Another game that I'm playing on this machine at the moment is World of Warcraft. It plays perfectly fine. It's on equivalent to medium settings, 1080p. No issues here, CPU not an issue, GPU not even stressed out, and we're getting a solid 60 FPS with VSync on. So it's perfectly playable, and I played quite a lot of hours on this in the last few months. So it's more than playable on a machine like this. So if you're into World of Warcraft, you don't need a lot. But let's be honest, most people knew that anyway. So I enjoyed playing it, and it just shows to show that you can still play a lot of games on this and get a lot of hours out of an old dual-core machine and still have a lot of fun. So that's all I really wanted to show for this video. Just like to share what I'm using as a daily driver. I know I have a GTX 1080 Ti and various faster CPUs, but I still use this every day, mainly because of power consumption and noise and various things, and I do get a lot of gaming hours out of it. So if you've got an older machine, don't feel as though you have to upgrade. As you can see, stuff still is playable on it. Of course, nothing too modern like, let's say, Apex Legends or anything like that. I need a faster machine for games like that, but for older games and simpler games, don't have to worry about it. And I like having this second machine about, just for daily stuff and lower end games. So until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.